All right. Well, don't have a lot of people, but I guess we'll go ahead. How you doing, all? I don't think Strugan. I don't know if you've joined us before. If you have, then you know who we are. If not, my name's Josh, aka Cujo, and then we've got Dave. He's the president of the FPVFC, and then we got Dan, who's our technology guru, our regulations guy. And generally, right now, we've got a couple news articles that I wanted to cover. This one's really cool. This is a new podcast focused on drones for good. And Dave, you'll know this organization, the Drone Responders. They launched a new dual program podcast highlighting the use of UAS and related technology across the emergency management and public safety sectors. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but it's definitely going to go on my podcast rotation. I'll post a link to it real quick. This is the kind of good media that we need. This comes from Drone Life. So you got two different podcasts. One's Taming Disaster Drones for Good, is hosted by Christopher Todd. We'll explore how emergency managers, disaster response professionals, and non-governmental and humanitarian organization volunteers are using UAS to make a positive impact around the world. The second podcast will feature Drone Responders UAS for Public Safety and Fire Rescue. Program will highlight the way public safety agencies across the United States and around the world are using drones to help save lives and protect property while also increasing first responders' safety. So I think both of these are going to be awesome. New episode of either Taming Disaster or Drone Responders will be released each Monday, so it looks like they're going to alternate weeks.
This organization looked like a perfect complement to us. I have the name of one of their officers. I need to follow up and call them, but it was a little difficult to find a contact in the organization, but I'm excited. This is they have members, and it appears that they do not do what we do. So it could be a very nice complement to each organization.
Absolutely. So they got their sponsors are Air XOS, which is part of GE Aviation.
Yeah.
And we've got First IZ and Pix4D are going to be their sponsors for right now. So that's pretty cool. That's the kind of good, positive media that we really, really need. And a way to highlight the usefulness of drones beyond, just photography and hobby. So I think that kind of stuff will go away, or go a long way. Let me put it that way. Second up, and this is from Drone DJ. Some of you may have heard a police drone and a helicopter collided in a flight. There were no injuries. The collision resulted in the drone being destroyed, and the helicopter suffered a small amount of damage to the main rotor.
This was in Canada, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Bruce Simpson may have mentioned that one at one point.
So looks like FLIR Sky Ranger R60 drone was being operated by the RCMP and collided with a police helicopter while climbing in altitude.
Boy, that's some expensive kit, as they would say.
Yep. The helicopter was reportedly completing a low-level flight under 300 feet. When the drone collided with it, the pilot noticed some vibrations and decided to land the helicopter on the road. Later on, the maintenance staff found damage on the main rotor blades, along with superficial damage to the tail boom and tail rotor. So that's unfortunate. And then out of my home state, not to bring some bad stuff into the light here, but we had a drone hold up operations down in Tucson on a fire. So they were unable to utilize the air support for that fire because of a drone flying in the area. So there's a fire going on in the Coronado National Forest, and yeah, that's a bad deal.
That does look like some pretty smoke to fly through, though.
Yeah, it could be, but we all know you need to stay away from these emergency areas so people can do their jobs.
Yep.
And the fire is much more, their job to put out that fire is much more important than your pretty shot. So let's see. Kind of keeping up with our theme over the last couple of weeks of DJI. We've got an article. Let's see, where is this coming from? Looks like Heli Guy. Sorry, I go through and I find some interesting articles before the meeting here that we can all kind of jive about. So this says that no evidence of drone data going to DJI or China. So there's no evidence that the data or information collected by DJI drones is being transmitted to China, DJI, or any other unexpected party. A new independent cyber security audit is confirmed. Obviously, DJI has welcomed the findings. So
yeah, I read the write-up on this. This was the report is done by Booz Allen Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you are knowledgeable about the IT space, it's a really reputable firm. They were hired by Precision Hawk, so this was not paid by DJI, but it's a really interesting report. They used two of the government-specific DJI drones, and then one that's just a run-of-the-mill, off-the-shelf of Mavic 2.
Yeah.
And so this to me is very positive in our work as we work to argue against the two congressional bills, the one in the House, the one in the Senate, 4753 in the House and 2502 in the Senate. This is good ammunition for us to say, they really are not sending information back to China.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This I thought was pretty interesting. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is going to be launching a survey in the next, maybe a couple days, maybe a week, wanting to know what the public thinks about using drones during emergencies. So drones are currently being used for a host of emergency response capabilities, from monitoring wildfires to tracking protesters and conducting surveillance during civil unrest, which we'll get to that here in a little bit. First responder organizations have used UAS to search for lost children, identify high-risk areas and burning structures, facilitate relief operations following hurricanes, reduce risk and exposure. All great uses for UAS. The survey will include questions about the respondents' knowledge of drones and their capabilities, as well as their use by first responders and opinions on those uses. Let's see, the survey will also ask respondents to evaluate the effectiveness of different test messages that we have created to deliver information to the public about first responder drone applications. So it looks like they're expecting about 2,000 responses from the general public, each of which is expected to take, the survey seems like it's only going to take about 20 minutes to complete. It does not, I don't know if, let's see.
You have till July to comment on it, it sounds like.
Yeah, I got the Federal Register on it here. Let me post that along with it.
Oh, that's a good link. I hadn't heard about this survey. Thank you for finding this.
Yep. So it looks like we only have one public comment right now. It's a 30-day notice, so it looks like it kicked up yesterday. So comments close on July 9th. So probably need to get this up on Facebook. Take a look at it. Let me see what kind of questions we're asking here. Let's see. Understand the public. Let's see. Where's the actual survey, though?
162 people have viewed it so far.
Sorry, I'm looking for the questions here. Let's see. The survey will ask responders to report their demographic characteristics, their knowledge of unmanned aircraft system, their knowledge of the use of UAS by first responders, their overall trust in the use of new technologies, their general attitudes about such use, and the opinions about the use of. But where is it? Okay. I'm going to have to do some research and actually find the survey, because this really doesn't make sense not having the survey here. Show more details.
The Federal Register is not completely clear. I've never experienced
I know. I was like, what? What? Okay, so let me do some research, guys, and I will post this on Facebook once I find it. If it seems like something that we really need to get, some comments on, then we'll throw it up there. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, any type of survey that we can lend a hand with, I think is definitely a good deal. We have. Let's see. Founded by. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out who this is. So this is about the Skydio. Let me drop this in. So for the, let's see. I think that's not really super related. Okay, so founded by ex-Google engineers, meet the drone startup scoring millions in government surveillance contracts. So seems like Skydio is doing fairly well with getting their stuff moved towards the government sector, and I imagine, especially with the some fight back against DJI, some of this is going to be, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out.
But of course, if the legislation that's in the Senate passes, the processor in the Skydio is manufactured in China, so they'll have hoisted themselves on their own petard.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We've got Skydio, a drone startup backed with passive investment by basketball player Kevin Durant. Most surprising recent addition to the government's aerial surveillance arsenal, founded by two ex-Google software engineers and former MIT students, Adam Bry and Abraham Bachrach. It's made its name as a fun, artificial intelligence-powered, consumer-focused unmanned aerial system.
Yeah. To me, this is interesting because they are using an NVIDIA GPU and then driving AI on it, and that's part of its detect and avoid system. So this to me is one of the things that we will probably see over time, is that there'll be sweeps of various function pushed into large processors and doing advanced functions, just like Skydio is doing now. So
yep, looks like
innovator.
Looks like the DEA is a customer at a $190,000 contract. $3 million contract with the U.S. Army and a $1.5 million deal with the Air Force. So we've got December. It announced it was supplying the Chula Vista Police Department with drones, but not being used for anything other than emergency situations. So we've got that, and we've got a couple other companies that they mentioned in the article here. Regarding both the types of surveillance methods they're using, including ICE and CBP, and CI. So there's a couple different uses in here. So with the recent protests, I think there's a Predator drone flying over the Minneapolis, and not that I'm going to get into the protests or anything political, but I do want to get into, the fact that they're saying that there was a Predator drone flying over, but it wasn't for surveillance. I know I personally have talked with Phoenix Police Department officers that drones present a peculiar problem for police officers. If they wanted to, let's say, use one to see over your fence into your yard, if they were, currently in an investigation or something like that. And generally, I forget what police officers call it. You'll have to forgive me. But basically, their line of sight is considered what they can see unaided. For example, if they pull you over, they see something in your back seat. That becomes fair game. Whereas something in a locked compartment, like your trunk, presents, they would have to have a warrant for that. Well, a drone presents a similar type of problem in so much as, does it, from a policy point of view, does it extend their natural line of sight to be able to see things? Or would it require a warrant to utilize? And so it presents interesting problems for the police. And I know different police departments are working with that, but I did kind of touch on that.
Interesting. Now, Predator's a big aircraft. I mean, that's a General Atomics military drone.
Yeah, that's nothing like what we're using the word for.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Were there more articles about that, and did they explain why they were doing it? Was it just like because it could fly from North Dakota and have fun testing it out, or what?
So it was the article was behind a Washington. Let me get it real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't keep it. I just wanted to mention because I couldn't get access to the whole article because it was behind a paywall.
Sure.
I heard an interesting presentation last year up at the New Air Symposium about September timeframe, where the New York State Air National Guard spent $10 million to get a beyond visual line of sight waiver from the FAA, all the testing and ground stations and ground radar and all the testing. And what they wanted to do was be able to move their Predator around the state. And so I surmise from that the Predator is an in-theater aircraft, and apparently was not needed this type of approval to be flown beyond visual line of sight in the United States. So I wonder what sort of approvals they had.
So this was apparently the Predator drone was being flown by Customs and Border Protection. But they were not this article says that they were not put in place to surveil protests. We were not providing any resources to surveil peaceful protesters. Customs and Border Patrol was helping more than a dozen cities around the country and providing assistance to state and locals so that they can make sure their cities were protected. He added that when a driver allegedly ran over a group of law enforcement officers in Buffalo, New York, the air operation was able to help track the vehicle and assist local law enforcement in arresting the driver. We weren't taking any information on law-abiding protesters, but we were absolutely there to ensure the safety of folks there, as well as enforce and make sure law and order remain. So it seems like they were not surveilling for deep state purposes, but more so for just safety.
Well, that's what they say anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's their story, and they're sticking to it.
Again, I'm not going to get into politics. I don't want to go down that path right now. But yeah, so the original article I saw was on the Wall Street Journal. but that's behind a paywall, and yeah, but this was from ABC News. So there's several articles on it. If you just search drones over protests, a bunch of articles popped up. Let's see. I think I've got one more here. So North Dakota has tapped Raytheon Technologies, Collins Aerospace, and L3 Harris Technologies to expand and put in place and expand its Beyond Visual Line of Sight system. This is from the Washington Herald here. So their mission will be able to drive approvals from the FAA and FCC, as well as support standards, policies, and procedures for safe and efficient integration of UAS into the national airspace system. With this partnership in place, North Dakota is well positioned to create and implement what is really the next level in the UAS industry. Nobody else is doing what North Dakota is doing. Let's see, North Dakota has already put up one Beyond Visual Line of Sight tower in Grand Forks. Subsequently, the legislator approved an additional $28 million to create a statewide UAS network. Let's see. They're using right now. We have multiple public and commercial use cases on the western side of the state. Let's see. Tommy Kenville, CEO of Eyesight Drone Services, has been among those pushing the drone horizon outward in North Dakota. They propose a new office in Watford. Let's see. So the report, they put together a report on the gravel roads heading into the summer season. They flew 2,200 miles of gravel roads in 20 days. It's a lot of miles, a lot of drones, and a lot of people. They're saying with the Beyond Visual Line of Sight radar towers, the same mileage should take us 7 days. So, really
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Josh, when you have a moment, could you let Alex talk? He wants to share what's going on the Drone Academy that he's involved in this
Absolutely.
summer.
Go ahead, bud.
All right, thank you. So one of the things that we're trying to do is we actually have a virtual drone club that we're doing for offering for kids all across the world.
And Alex, the organization is
called the Global Air Drone Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're offering a virtual drone club to kids all across the world. We usually get around 30 kids in currently, but they're from places from UK, UAE, Nigeria, everywhere. Then another thing that we're trying to do is we're doing what we're calling a drone camp in a box, in which we're trying to raise enough to give away 500 sets of these to kids in need in Baltimore to get them into drones and all. So those are two things.
That's really cool. So what's your goal? What's your dollar goal? And is there a donation site up or?
Here, I'll paste that in the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Add that in here.
And feel free to drop that in the FPVFC Facebook too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's the drone camp in a box thing. There's an option to donate, and on that page, and for kids, if they want to, or youth, anyone wants to go into what we had a virtual drone club, I sent that link in too. So if you know any kids that might be interested in learning about drones.
What's the age bracket? Is there a limit, Alex?
It's designed for around 8 to 18.
Uh-huh.
So pretty much anyone in middle school is the main focus where we're looking, but pretty much anyone, if you can understand what we're saying, you can participate. We have challenges almost every week. And today, we live streamed some flying. But yeah.
Excellent.
Do you guys have a Facebook group, or where are you live streaming from?
Or we're using Zoom.
Okay.
We're using a Zoom call, so or we were live streaming like the FPV feed through Zoom.
Okay, gotcha. So is the when you do live streaming, is it open to the public to watch, or is it just for the organization? Yeah.
You have to sign up ahead of time to get the information to go into the Zoom call, and
Okay.
it should be pretty much unlimited to go in there. And then afterwards, we upload this recording of the club meeting,
The live stream,
you could say, and so we upload that later to our website.
Okay.
Excellent.
So that's just some stuff trying to get youth involved.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
really cool.
Great work.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
Alex.
awesome. Alex, are you leading this, or are you just working with them, or?
So I am I'm for working with them mainly. I'm not the lead on this, but
Okay.
helping with it, I'm mainly do the drone club thing. I'm not as much into the drone camp in a box.
Right. So I'm just curious if, there's somebody we should talk to, or if you want to mention, maybe it's a link to your website we can drop on our website.
Sure.
That way, help spread that out. And I just want to make sure it's okay with whoever's leading it.
Oh, they're fine with that.
Okay. All right. Because I think this is really awesome. I'm just looking at the website right now.
And
is there a marketing contact within the Global Air Drone Academy, Alex?
I don't believe so, but you can.
Okay.
But you can talk to me. I can do all that stuff.
Perfect. Awesome. Great work, bud. All right. So, Dave, do we want to touch on the other thing that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, before we do, there's a risk, rhetoric, and reality.
Oh, yes,
frank
the webinar
conversation about drone data security. Do you or Dan have access to that link that you could put that here?
Give me 1 second.
This is a webinar. It's tomorrow, June 11. The time is 1 p.m. Eastern, so sort of in the middle of the day for folks who are working. But it includes New America, DJI, Booz Allen Hamilton, and sounds like they've also got a host. And one of the speakers will be Brendan Schulman, the VP of policy at DJI. So this promises to be interesting to talk about drone data security. So obviously that report that we talked about earlier will be referenced, and they'll have a Booz Allen person there on the call. That's it. Thank you. You found it.
Yeah, so the link's through Twitter. Let me grab the actual registration link, and I'll drop that as well. I did register already, so I will be on there. So you can click that gotowebinar.com/register link. All it's asking for is a first name, last name, and email address. That's all you need to register. So if you're on anywhere on like in my time zone, it's going to be 10 a.m. But yeah. So let's see. The other thing that we have seen lately and heard lately is that the FAA is looking for FPV pilots not using a spotter.
We don't have this officially.
Yes.
But we did. We have. It was a reasonable contact. This was not something that we just picked up on the internet. It must be true. This was someone we work with. So please everyone, if you're flying around, find a spotter. And we understand that we may not use a spotter, or we may not work with a spotter all the time. But if you're at a place where it looks like there are some people around, please find a spotter. Also, be careful. Don't push law enforcement. These during these times, we're trying to make sure that we're presenting a good face, and I think we can do things to help our extend, the folks around us, and that includes one of the articles that Josh had is to assist in emergencies, and that's certainly the image that we would like to portray, is that we've got incredible skills across the FPV community, and I'd love to take advantage of them and have this be a place where STEM skills are grown for folks like Alex and the work that he's doing with his organization.
Absolutely. So, just in going forward right now, the source we have is that they've asked another group of individuals to kind of be on the lookout. And so I just don't want anybody, getting that letter in the mail, or, getting that phone call or something like that unnecessarily. So just be careful with what you're doing. Find a spotter. Watch what you're uploading. We have conflicting sources. So, one source says that the FAA says that they're not wasting effort on, going through YouTube and looking at videos and trying to catch people that way, because, unless you're actually on the video, that they don't know that you're behind the controls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they'd have a long road to plow there to try and incriminate somebody. But at the same time, we're getting other instances where they're saying, we're looking for people not flying with a spotter, and which seems like such a base thing to be concerned about. But at the same time, we're just passing on the information and trying to keep everybody safe. So.
And while it's not related to this information that we've heard, a lot of you who follow Bruce Simpson know that he's been reported for flying against the rules and has been justifying all of his actions to the CAA down there in New Zealand.
So, I mean, it's for anybody, it would be an uncomfortable position to be in, I'm sure. But yeah, so just be careful is all I'm saying.
And don't incriminate yourself.
Right.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Keep yourself off video.
But I want to make sure that Josh, before we close, I mentioned the survey that I posted.
Yes, absolutely. So Dave did post a series of 5 questions on our Facebook, as well as I believe you did the Rotor Ride as well.
That's correct.
And they are for assistance with the Drone Advisory Committee with a safety task group that you're in, correct?
Correct, and it's the objective of this tasking group is what elements of manned aviation safety culture are applicable to UAS. And so with the folks on the FPVFC Facebook group, very quickly I had a bunch of responses. I also had a lot of good comments, some critical, which was really helpful, and other comments, which were also helpful. So that was, I'm very appreciative to the response and the comments. And I promised to try to learn how to use Google Forms and not use Facebook polls anymore. It was clunky, and my apologies for the lack of elegance in the survey. But very happy with the responses and the ideas that were put forward.
So the one thing I noticed, Dave, is that the commentary underneath the questions was pretty good. Some definite challenges, but not in a bad way. Just good conversation, good debate.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
really appreciate that feedback.
Exactly. Yeah, 99% of it was very constructive, and that's always nice to see on Facebook.
Yes.
Rarely
Absolutely.
happens on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Twitter's even worse. Yeah. Facebook is the light side of things.
I do have a question for Dave.
Yeah.
What are the next steps as far as the whole trade association? I saw Tyler's post. Of course, you were tagged in that. So it sounds like those efforts failed, or at least so far. Just wondering what
I
are
was asked.
potential next steps.
Yeah, good question. And so I was asked to lead a trade association for the recreational UAS industry. And Josh and I have been working on this, and we reached out to about 25 individuals. And I have background in product development, product management, product marketing, as well as mergers and acquisitions. So I've got a pretty good sense of what it takes to release and create an organization on a worldwide basis as it relates to product. And the various owners were not tremendously enthusiastic about the need for a coordinated vision, coordinated marketing. They did like the idea of it would be good to have someone lobbying for them, but they were very concerned about the cost. And so the view is that at this point we'll stop. Now there are other activities that Tyler's working on, and that's great. And certainly the activities that we are working on within FPVFC will continue. FPVFC is completely solvent, thank you to the support of our members, and and as well as thank you very much to Josh, Dan, David for working as volunteers, and I'm volunteer as well in FPVFC. So that lowers our costs a lot. So we'll continue to push as we can. And as some of you know, we are a 501c3. That requires that we not do much lobbying. So we'll do, what we're doing, what you see up on the website for congressional outreach is completely within bounds, and we'll abide by the rules. With the IRS, we want to retain our 501c3 status, and hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, guys, is that the difference between what the FPVFC is doing and what the trade organization was designed to do is that the FPVFC is put in place as a potential community-based organization. So once the community-based organization rules come out, which we are waiting with bated breath for, I think it's a couple months late, if not several months late at this point, but we are set up to be a community-based organization. Whereas the trade organization, and like Dave was saying, a 501c3 is basically a nonprofit for the benefit of the people it serves. So, we, as an example, we take in money for memberships, or through donations, or through t-shirt sales, and we utilize that to be able to act in the best interest of our membership. and moreover, the do things in the best interest for the FPV community, such as going to the protests in DC and participating in that and that kind of thing. Whereas a trade organization would be set up as a 501c7, which gives us complete autonomy. Six. I'm sorry. Which gives us complete autonomy to engage in lobbying and whatnot. And the problem is that is twofold. Lobbying costs a lot of money to be able to hire a lobbyist firm, to interact with the politicians is necessary, as well as getting a disparate group of companies and individuals with their own personalities and whatnot to work together for a common good. Now, that's not to say people should be ashamed that they turned us down. It's not about that. It's just people don't feel right now that they're in a position to participate in something like that. So the unfortunate side of it is that we will continue to do what we can with the FPVFC, but it kind of cuts off an avenue that would be beneficial in the long run. So that's not to say it won't happen later on down the road, maybe when things are a little more positive. Again, companies are just coming out of lockdown, essentially. COVID-19 is, just kind of, states are opening up and whatnot. So, people are probably still getting their feet underneath them. And again, there's no hard feelings about it. It just, didn't pan out, and that's fine. And we will continue to see what we can do to attack the regulations from different angles. So, yeah.
And who knows, if some of those bills about the Chinese equipment go through, then maybe the trade organization will see more traction.
Interest in it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, as restrictions start to kind of tighten up, as these regulations tighten up, it might change some hearts and minds. I don't know. But again, the effort is to do everything we possibly can to save our hobby.
And sorry for talking over you there, Steve.
No, that's fine. I knew this was out of the scope of FPVFC. Mm-hmm. But I figured since Dave was on the line, I thought maybe he could just add some additional info.
Yeah. So, I don't, it's not, again, it's not about shaming companies for not getting involved. I know there are posts on the Facebook posts, or replies on the Facebook post asking for who didn't, blah, 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 who didn't participate and who didn't want to do this. And it's not about that. It's really not. It's, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We'll find different avenues of approach. Yeah.
And it really wasn't because it was like one or two didn't want to. It was not enough in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, it was enough that, we didn't feel like we had a big enough representation. And that was the whole point, is to get a group that was representative of the FPV, manufacturers, retailers, distributors, that kind of thing, that were based in the United States and had close ties to the United States, to really make an impact here. And trade organizations, happen all the time. The AIA, which is the Aerospace Industrial Association or Industry mm-hmm. Association, they represent several hundred different firms.
Over 300, yep.
Yep. So, and that's all in general aviation. So, it's a lot of work in terms of coming together and getting people kind of saying the same thing. But at the same time, these are different companies with different agendas, oftentimes competing with one another. So you have to manage that too. So, once, maybe later on down the road, people will start to see the benefit of it. And, otherwise we'll just, keep doing something different. So, yeah. Good question, though. Good question. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Things have been a little too quiet from the FAA.
They have, and I think that's the part that's probably grinding on me the most, is that, we had the announcement of the people who were going to be working on, the policies and whatnot for the USS. But, I would, one of the things we talked about amongst ourselves is trying to see if maybe we could get, a little bit of advance notice before we drop some stuff, before they drop some stuff. And, that way, instead of being behind the 8 ball, in terms of trying to go through it, break it down, make it formatable so people can read it, and like we did with the NPRM, that we could be ahead of the curve, and as soon as it drops, we can basically be like, the embargo's lifted, here's what you need to know.
Yeah,
and
that definitely goes for like the recreational knowledge test. That kind of got overshadowed a while ago by the whole NPRM, and a lot of people don't even know that that's coming. But one of these days, they're just probably going to drop that on us, and it's going to be a surprise.
It is, and hopefully it won't be too much of a surprise, being as the FPVFC is one of the members on that council. But at the same time, it's hard to tell, and right now I would say our government has got their hands full, and
Right.
But at the same time, we need to still be watchful, and I don't want things to get lost in the mayhem, in the chaos. So that's our job, is to make sure we don't lose it, and get that information out to you guys as soon as we have it, and then break it down quickly for the community. So, all right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up. I appreciate you guys coming out. And I think I will claim responsibility. I put the time wrong on the Facebook post. So maybe that's why we don't have as many people here today.
Oh, that's because Arizona's got that crazy fixed time zone down there that never changes like the rest of the world.
Well, is the rest of the world crazy? Or are we?
So,
so at any rate, I will let you all go. I hope you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. And I will get the time right on the next one, I promise. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.